Um, like I say, the State Department or the federal government wanted to say that the American government or America had invested in Panama, and it's actually not true. The American government didn't actually invest anything in Panama. In fact, Panama made money like crazy for me and for Germany. I took a whole bunch of the steel or metal because Panama actually made a lot of metal. A lot of metal came from Panama, and that metal or ore went to Germany, was smelted down, and also a lot of different other places. The minerals from Panama actually. That's another thing. All that they say overburden had to be gotten rid of. No, actually, overburden had to be sold. It's not there. They trucked it out because it was actually high in. It was very, very, very rich in minerals and very, very good metal. And they actually trucked it out and actually was loaded on ships and went all over the world to make steel. And and so Panama made a lot of money. That's why they're hiding that from the public because huge amounts of steel came from Panama, huge, and and so it was very, very profitable, and the and plus all the farming and all the food was also very profitable. And I had to feed the workers anyway, so I had the farms for the workers and all that. So, and I always had extra food too, because and extra clean water as well, and the cleanest water, because the filtering system worked really well. And and the filtering. So we had a few problems, but the filtering system actually worked really well for filtering the river water because it goes in dirty river water on one side and comes out clean, nice clean water on the other side. And that's through a filter system that's underneath the Panama Canal or somewhere, basically. So, and there's also and also the water goes up, and there's a silt thing where the water slows down and then kind of goes across or something. We tried out a couple different systems underneath the Panama to filter out all the heavy materials from all the light materials, and that goes through a set of screens or some things where it drips through the screens or something, and that takes out all the other little particular matters. And they also found gold coming out of the river. The Panama, that's another thing they don't want to tell you, is that the river was actually producing gold or something like that. The screens were so fine and so perfect that gold flakes and stuff and all kinds of stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that would be deposited, and I was actually getting gold off the screens on the what's called on the the Panama Canal. And they don't mention that. It's like, you're actually making gold from the Panama Canal. I was like, really? Wow, that's cool. It's like, yeah, well, the screens, they allow the water to go through, but they don't allow the gold to go through. And there's particulate matter gold or something like that that was coming out of the river. So for a while there, I was making gold. It's like, that's all right, awesome, wow. Uh, I'm making a little bit of money on this $5 million back in 1800 or something like that, which is equivalent of like 100 million today or something like that. It was costing a lot, so I never really expected to see a profit. And so anyway, White Star line ships could go through the locks, the Panama Canal locks. But what I would do is I would raise up my prices because other ships from other countries or other places, they had to pay the toll to go through because there's a toll. I was charging a little bit of a toll. I think like 4% tax on 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 the value of the goods or something like that. I charged 4% tax or something. It wasn't all that much, but we considering like hundreds of tons of goods are going through it, it adds up. So I don't know. I think I charged a little bit more back then, like a couple dollars, and then later on I was like, just a 4% tax or something like that, or 8% tax, something reasonable that everyone can live with, and it's like sales tax or something like that. Anyway, so on the goods that is on the profit from the ship, I'd take a little bit for myself, but my ships go through free. So in order to make up that difference, I would just raise up my prices 8%. So my price is a little bit lower than that. So my prices were just a little bit less than the than everyone else's, because otherwise, they would just go out of business, because, because, I mean, that would be unfair market share or whatever. So I would raise up my prices 8%, and they would have to, whatever, they have to pay me 8%. So that's a total of like 16%, or like, I think it was a 4 and 4, because my ships went through and I was raising my prices 4%, and anyone else's ships that would go through would be lowering by 4%. Or at least I'd be taking that 4% from them, because I pay for the Panama Canal locks. So I think I was making money like crazy, and mostly it's the drug dealers were trying to get out of the tax, and I was like, no, if you're going to be going through my locks with drugs, you're going to pay the tax, or more tax. So anyway, because drugs are so lucrative and stuff like that, so it's like, well, and most people were happy to pay me, or happy to pay, because it's like, it was your dream, it was your vision that yes, like my dream that brought all that about, and like, my ideas for using all the water from the river that went to all those farms and everything else, and it's like, well, yeah, I get to feel really, really good, and it's a 500-year project or a 120-year project, so. And I wish I could have gotten to go see it, and maybe in my lifetime I will go see it. But yeah, and it was vastly, lots of food, lots of everything, cocaine, coca, and poppy plants, and all kinds of other stuff. We had crops for everything growing in Cuba. You could get anything you wanted from Cuba, all different kinds of plants, and plus the river water was very nutrient rich or something like that, and we added more nutrients to the farming to make it better. Cuba is my country, and that's why the land couldn't be sold like that. And so I took over Cuba because I bought it, basically. I was like, well, that land's going to have to be mine too, because those are all my farms. And that's why, like, in Africa, I gave away the land, because, like, it's just Africa. Who cares? Or whatever. I was like, I don't really care. It's not like my Colombia and Panama Canal project, which was like, oh my God, I spent $1 billion. I spent the equivalent of $100 billion on one little place. But it's really cool. Anyway, so lots of water, lots of this, and it was like my proof of concept. I was like, what? Anyway, so yeah. So, yeah, Panama Canal is so mine. So ridiculously mine, and I had to fight over it with the American government, because I put out all that money on is my profits that went right back into the Panama Canal. I didn't make anything from the Panama Canal. In fact, it cost me a lot of money. If I did ever make anything from it, it went right back into the canal. So, and then I used that money to help feed people and clothe people and do everything else, just like I always did. So anyway, it was ridiculous and expensive, but cool. But it gave me a lot of money, because, my ships could get through the locks faster, and other people that didn't want to pay or whatever, would go around. And yeah, it's complicated, and nice spices and everything. So